This is in the locker room. This is before the game ended. Before the game ended. She comes out in the locker room and posted this. Like, what are we doing?
And let's start with the play that set off. So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark.
Welcome to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness. But at the end of the day, it resulted in an Indiana Fever W. 88-71, taking care of business.
A 20,000 character deep dive into the evening's Sophie Cunningham turned the WNBA upside down. The Indiana Fever found their backbone, and every marketing deck in the league's New York headquarters burst into spontaneous flame. Before the first buzzer, 6 hours before tip-off, Gainbridge Fieldhouse already smelled different. Usual game day aromas, hot dog steam, fresh popcorn, the faint citrus cleaner the janitors swear by were there, but another note floated above them, anticipation seasoned with dread. By noon, the outside plaza had filled with a mashup demographic the WNBA's old guard still struggles to map on PowerPoints.
Sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, is anybody on this team gonna stand up for Caitlin Clark? JC Sheldon grabbing Caitlin Clark all game, clawing at her. It's like tonight was a brawl, folks. Tonight was a brawl, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, is anybody on this team going to stand up for? And Sophie Cunningham.
We see Caitlin Clark on the receiving end of something, and it's not called correctly. In fact, she gets a technical foul after getting poked in the eye and then shoved to the floor, and Marina Mabrey doesn't even get thrown out of the game. It's basically open season on Caitlin Clark, and the special whistle that she supposedly gets goes in the other direction. Flagrantly so. They got to put it to an end. I mean, she's the most valuable player in the league in the most literal sense. And somehow she gets the opposite of superstar treatment.
Teen girls practicing step-back threes with souvenir mini balls. 40-something dads wearing girl dad t-shirts over rumpled button-downs. Grandmothers who've waited decades for women's hoops to ride the primetime rails regularly. YouTubers live streaming predictions to followers who think side pick-and-roll coverage is the new K-pop subgenre. Inside the arena, an intern on headset whispered a single sentence that ricocheted up the event day hierarchy like a code red. Secondary market is running hotter than Taylor Swift. Again, that was data point 1. Data point 2 arrived via text chain from a veteran WNBA official. Keep an eye on Connecticut tonight. They've decided the only way to prove they're elite is to rough up 22. 22 meaning Caitlin Clark. Everyone speaks in numbers now. It sounds less personal when you plot violence on the spreadsheet. Shadows in the tunnel. Sophie Cunningham usually jogs out second to last for warm-ups. Not tonight. She lingered, lacing shoes, retaping wrists until the rest of the Fever were a good 30 feet down the tunnel. Then she stepped under the arena lights alone, forehead shiny with a layer of something thicker than sweat, intent. Reporters noticed. One posted a grainy clip to X with the caption, "Cunningham looks like a bouncer who got told the headliner might get jumped." It gathered 1.4 million views before halftime. The opening viciousness.
I feel good, and Sophie Cunningham put me out on a high note, folks. I didn't even say, Ben, calm down, regroup. I didn't even say that. Let's get straight to the play, everybody. The plays everybody is talking about. First off, Marina Mabrey body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. JC Sheldon all over her. Riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark needs to start wearing goggles, folks. Caitlin Clark's going to need to start wearing goggles. Bumps up on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark says, "Get your hands off me." And then here comes Marina Mabrey. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there.
Literally about a minute and a half into recording this reaction earlier, with 1 minute left, and all hell broke loose between JC Sheldon and Sophie Cunningham, and it is very clear the Indiana Fever, some of these girls on this team are finally fed up. Once again, WNBA, we're not talking about your basketball. We're talking about the WNBA WWE Raw circus that you got going on right now, and we all know that from the incident that was clearly not handled correctly by the WNBA and the referees. Talking about, let's start here. This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, I'm not having it. We'll go. So there's that. That, of course, was all a byproduct of this right here, folks. And I mean, when I tell you social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, not in a good way, it's the understatement.
The first quarter was chippy, but professional. Hand checks extended a beat too long. Elbows grazed ribs. Whistles blew early to keep things tidy. Then, 1:14 into the second, basketball's version of a controlled burn became a 5-alarm wildfire. Swipe. JC Sheldon reached across Clark's face, ostensibly for ball, caught eyelid instead. No call, play on. Space. Clark shoved JC's hip. Not malicious. Simply the universal signal for, I've earned 4 square inches of oxygen. Finger wag. Tina Charles stormed in, index finger scything the air like a metronome set to BPM furious. Blindside. Marina Mabrey, maybe 130 pounds dripping perseverance, torpedoed Clark from the peripheral blind spot ESPN's baseline camera barely covers. Hardwood met scapula. Clark bounced. Gasps outscreamed cheers. Referees convened. Replays rolled. Twitter detonated. Sophie's unwritten contract activates. Cunningham, eye black intensity minus the eye black, inserted herself. Not later, immediately. She didn't raise fists. She didn't plead. She entered that narrow physical gap between contact and comfort, staking a claim. If you want the rookie, you're buying me first. Opponents saw the look, equal parts kindergarten teacher and nightclub security, and recalculated risk budgets on the fly. Officials play solo twister. The referees needed a ruling that felt proportional, without detonating the entire enterprise on live television. Result. Flag. 1 on Sheldon, eyes. Technicals on Clark, push. Mabrey, hit. Charles, verbal. No ejections. They hoped it would quell the storm. It merely postponed the downpour. What stat sheets can't measure. Box scores will forever log. 17 turnovers combined. 41 rebounds Indiana. Cunningham 9 points. They will not log. Eye drops Clark used at halftime.
And the try-me body language that makes even the most aggressive veterans think twice before stepping to the perimeter.
Of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not. But this is what they called, you guys. This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
Marketing VPs slacking. Please tell me sponsorship logos didn't appear in that slow-mo. Connecticut's bench players exhaling each time Cunningham subbed out. Social media burns the midnight oil. At 9:37 p.m. Eastern Time, the top 5 US X trends were hashtag Sophie Sentinel, hashtag Protect 22, hashtag Mabry Madness, hashtag WNBA-refs, hashtag Kelsey Mitchell deserves better, Fever fans multitask. TikTok creators stitched the Blind Side hit to Billie Eilish audio. 3 million likes by dawn. Reddit's WNBA built a composite video of every hard foul Clark had absorbed since preseason, 12 minutes long, cross-faded to Sarah McLachlan's Angel. Irony? Maybe. Pain? Definite. Kathy Engelbert's War Room. At League HQ, the commissioner's team opened a Google Doc titled Incident Response. Sophie Knight. Live-edited bullet points. Safety optics. Cannot appear lenient toward blindside hits. Superstar protection parity. Doesn't exist. Needs policy draft. Officials. Schedule emergency clinic on screening versus sealing versus body check. Cunningham phenomenon. Potential marketing pivot. WNBA's enforcer era? Someone joked that if the NHL could glamorize enforcers for 30 years, the W could survive one summer of Sophie. The joke landed awkwardly. Players group chat leak. Paraphrased. Asterisk asterisk. Veteran guard 1. Mabry went overboard, but Sophie's extra. Stretch 4. Extra? I call that necessary. Rookie benchy. So, do we all get personal linebackers now or only top draft picks? Unknown number. Stop whining. Bring your own smoke. The authenticity? Unverified. The vibes? Impeccably believable. The slow motion turning of a season. One game does not change rules. One pattern does. We now have hard foul versus Chicago, no ejection. Flagrant versus New York, upgraded on review. Connecticut blindside, still just technical. 3 is a trend. Trends rewrite rulebooks. Sophie's backstory, because context matters. Grew up in Columbia, Missouri. AAU tournaments paid for by parents who refinanced truck twice. Missouri Tigers career, 1,727 points, 3.96 GPA, once played 38 minutes on a sprained MCL. Draft night fell to second round. Texted college coach, copying Draymond blueprint, except I shoot better. Entered the league earning less than the social media intern who now clips her highlights. Her chip is not on her shoulder. It is her shoulder, sharpened nightly. Clark's quiet resolve. Post-game presser, she answers 12 questions without eye-rolling once. On the poke, comes with driving left. On Mabry, I boxed out the next play. On Sophie, pauses, smiles small. Good teammate. That micro smile spawns 47 memes tagged. Good teammate energy. Marketing departments everywhere add it to next week's pitch decks. Cascade effects.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. You know, it is something that since the beginning, I've kind of like backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. You know, going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their job.
WNBA, Kathy Engelberg. Hello, Earth to Kathy Engelberg. Are you going to step in and do something about this trash that's going on? Players are getting assaulted on the floor. Like, come on, Caitlin Clark could have really got injured right there, y'all. She could have really got injured by these haters, these jealous, hating players. They just jealous and hating, bro. She didn't even get ejected.
Because once you've been stared down by Sophie Cunningham
48 hours later, Fever Ticket Exchange requests upright arrow 58%. Ball kids now trained to deliver 2 ice packs to Clark, one for body, one for eye. Connecticut Sun's comms staff fields 300+ angry emails. Half want apologies, half want rematch pay-per-view. Referee supervisor circulates a 17-clip video titled Illegal Screens and Off-Ball Hits. Enforce early. ESPN 2 bumps a cornhole tournament to air Fever vs. Liberty rematch in prime time. Nike quietly approves a t-shirt mock-up. Don't reach. I've got a Sophie. Anatomy of an enforcer. Sophie's toolkit. Spatial anticipation. Rotates 2 beats before contact. Looks psychic. Verbal escrow. Stores every sneer. returns it later at 3 times interest. Economy of fouls, delivers message with physical punctuation but stops right at flagrancy. Face of stone maneuver, smiles only after referee whistles the other player. Rim run retaliation, posts up the responsible defender next possession, forces them to feel her weight. Result, opponents expend more energy monitoring Sophie than chasing Clark off screens. Sponsorship math. Before Tuesday, Fever primary patch worth is almost equal to $2.1 million annually. Post-Tuesday negotiation whispers say next cycle could jump to $3 million if Protect 22 narrative sustains. Because brands love storylines where loyalty trumps rivalry, especially if it comes wrapped in highlight reel buzzer beaters. Media meta-narrative. Every sport evolves a shorthand. NBA 80s, Showtime versus Bad Boys. MLB 90s, Chicks Dig the Long Ball. NFL 2010s, Air Raid versus Legion of Boom. WNBA 2020s might become Clark and the Sentinel. And you can sell that on coffee mugs, documentaries, limited edition NFTs, if you keep the protagonist healthy. Future-proofing or Frankensteining. League brainstorm rumored. Pilot. Protective arc. Invisible 3-foot halo around star ball handlers. Refs instructed to preempt. Critics shout pathetic. Alternate. Heat map review. Tracking data identifies repeated high-impact zones. Refs receive alerts mid-game. Extreme. Enforcer cap. Team allowed 1 rotational enforcer. Additional penalties for secondary retaliation. Players Association laughs in 15-page memo. Real outcome likely simpler. Referees tighten whistles. Fines escalate. And Sophie's legend spreads faster than any official memo. Human cost. Unsaid. Not invisible. Behind every meme is bruising. Clark's elbow. Purple splotch by morning. Sophie's hip. Welt from blind help side collision. Sheldon. Scratch across knuckles from flail. Mabry. Towel over eyes in locker room, knowing suspension looming. Referee number 42. 30 voicemails from family asking why she didn't eject anyone. Basketball prints souvenir t-shirts. Bodies print invoices. One more night. One more lesson. 48 hours later. Fever play Liberty. First quarter. Sabrina Ionescu uses a hedge to bump Clark at half court. Not malicious, just physics. Sophie rotates late, looks, then backs off. Line crossed versus line within competition. She's learning the range. Balance returns. Hard play without malice. Star protected without sideshow. Telecast ratings? Highest non-playoff WNBA game to date. Message. Drama tastes best measured, not poured. Coda. Why we'll remember Sophie Tuesday. Because some nights a league's DNA mutates. Because every future top 5 draft pick will study that film in March Madness hotel rooms, deciding whether to enter a league that sometimes swings elbows and sometimes produces teammates who take those elbows for you. Because loyalty sells better than outrage when you package it with 3-point rainbows and televised brinkmanship. Because the next time a defender winds up on 22, they'll feel 9 before impact. Because history loves a protector almost as much as it loves a prodigy. And mostly because in a sport forever balancing artistry and aggression, Cunningham and Clark just redrew the center line. One bruise, one technical, one viral clip at a time. Welcome to the new normal, W. Keep your head on a swivel.
Nah. Enough's enough, bruh. Enough is enough, bruh. What is going on? WNBA, y'all need to get this under control. This is ridiculous. Marina Mabry, you just put yourself in the Dejanay Carrington box. You dirty slime ball player, you come and blindside Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabry assaulted and tried to fight Caitlin Clark today. This is ridiculous. WNBA, Kathy Engelberg, do something. Do y'all want to go back to 55 to 60% of the people not watching shit again? I normally don't cuss in my blogs, but forget that. This was bullshit.
So much happened in this game, but first, let's talk about Sophie and JC. All right, JC Sheldon. My goodness, dog. My goodness. Now, honestly, I felt like Sophie might have wanted a piece of JC after the Caitlin Clark and JC kind of scuffle going on, right? Then this happened, okay?